So for me, the thing that I want to talk about is how loose your wrist really has to be. Like, it's super loose. Like, the only thing holding onto the knife are these two fingers, and everything else is so loose that, like, the kind of loose it takes to snap your finger like that. It's super loose. And when you're doing this, you're keeping your elbow in and everything in tight, so that when you do this, you're making a smaller circle on the way forward. It's a big open part in the back, and as you're coming forward, everything's trailing behind you. And when you're getting here, you're making this circle become smaller. And as you do that, it causes your hand to snap around in the end as a product of the throw, not so much that I'm pulling my arm back, it's that I'm not allowing it to come out forward and it wants to do this at the end. Due to everything being really loose and super limp, it isn't that I'm pulling back, it's that in a wave motion there is a back and forward loop. That's how that builds up, pulls in, and you should be able to like go back and forth. If you were able to do like a no reload with the knife, it would be a constant loop. Great, now we got airplanes to build. Okay, so the pullback isn't something that I'm doing with any part of my arm and pulling back. I'm not using any of these muscles to pull back my hand. It's a consequence of the end of the wave motion. So there's a backside loop and a forward side loop, and that kind of goes in like this infinity type symbol where there's backs and a front side to every wave. Just like when you crack a whip, you can't just draw it up without having it go forward in order to get a snap. It's the same thing when you're drawing this back, it's coming forward and creates a snap. You're not actively pulling it back, it is a product of the end of the movement ending with a loose wrist that causes a rebound. So when you're leading into it, it snaps back at the end because I'm stopping this movement here with the rotation of my torso. If I wanted to spin all the way around, I probably would have more of a follow through, but we're not doing that, otherwise the knife would go over there. It's a back loop and then a front loop, and it stops and pops back because my rotational energy is ending. It's coming to the end of it, and so it wants to come back around and go again. While it's definitely not Skanf, the same snap can be achieved in the overhand by creating that wave back and forward, still has that terminated snap. It isn't that I'm pulling back, it's that I'm not allowing my arm to leave my body. So the loose part from the elbow forward, all of my forearm, wrist, and hand are super loose, so that it ends up in a snap that causes the hand to come back. It's not that I'm using my arm, hand, or anything there to generate that backward movement. It's a consequence of the end of this chain of movement. So basically, the arm is being treated as if it is just a loop, a loose extension to your torso. That is connected to it, but it's not being physically manipulated with arm muscle. The only muscle I feel like I'm using very much is some stuff back here to pull my elbow down, so that when I initiate the back part of it, I'm starting with my torso and my hip to start my shoulder and arm moving back. And when I lead back into it, it gets all the way back to the very back point here before I start to turn into it, and that builds up a lot of tension and pull that's all in here. And as I'm leading forward, I'm starting to pull my arm into myself more. That is creating acceleration because of the shortening radius of this arc. And when it comes to getting in here where I want to be able to let go of it, I am actually stopping my rotation altogether with my torso and beginning to pull back into it to create that snap that pulls the knife out of my hand. There's always a lot of talking, especially in Skanf, but in wave throwing in general, the grip, is the finger pushing or not pushing. And doing this correctly, you don't have to even index your grip. If you have this, it still comes out of your hand because of this snap. And the point of, or not, I guess the point, but the thing to pay attention to is that you're getting this snap to happen at the right point. Like if we snap over here, it's going to go over there, and if we snap over here, it's going to go over there. We have to get the snap to line up with the direction that we're wanting it to go. And it doesn't matter how you index or hold on to the knife, it does the same thing because it leaves your hand because of the snap, not because we're letting it go or throwing it out of our hand. It's a product of our grip being soft enough that the knife comes out in the right spot because you have the mechanic of this whip happening in the right spot. So the energy gets bigger and bigger until the end where you can't hold on to it with the amount of pressure you're applying, and the knife leaves you. One of the important things in this, and the reason that you can throw up so close, is that you don't have this follow through in your hand movement, that this energy is all created from this little bitty snap, and that gets the knife to come out in that orientation without all of that follow through. And the better you get this mechanic and the timing of this chained movement, this whip to happen, the more velocity it creates in that smaller bit of movement without those large follow throughs. More example of creating this loop. I'm only holding on to that tight enough not to drop it. It's still got freedom of movement, just as if my wrist were on it. I would have the same freedom of movement. Ooh. Sloppy. And because there's going to be somebody that says, oh, you're so close to the target, you can't miss even if you don't have an indexed finger. So here's for you. It's one of the keys to this knife throwing style is the timing and the mechanic and when you let go throughout the process. That's why you hear everybody saying that the knife throws itself, because if you get all of the mechanic put together in the right way, it kind of does. You're not really choosing what happens, it's just happening because you're allowing the variables that make it happen.